"We don't serve trash here. Take your broke ass somewhere else." Derek Torres, the floor manager at the Harborside, an upscale bar in Boston's financial district, sneered at the customer in worn work boots and a torn jacket. The guy looked homeless, didn't belong among the lawyers and bankers, dropping hundreds on cocktails. The man stayed seated, quietly ordered water and fries, the cheapest thing on the menu. Sarah Mitchell, a black waitress working her fifth straight double shift, watched from across the bar. She knew Derek's game: humiliate the wrong kind of customer, protect the upscale image. But something about this man's tired eyes reminded her of her own reflection. She walked over to take his order. What she did next, her response to what he asked for, left him frozen, speechless, unable to even form words. And what neither of them knew was that this one moment would expose a secret that had been bleeding them all dry. Alexander Brooks sat alone in his corner office on the 14th floor, the city lights of Boston glowing through the window behind him. It was past 9 on a Tuesday evening, and the financial district had emptied hours ago. Most nights he would have left by now too, but tonight an email had arrived that changed everything. The sender, anonymous. The subject line, "Check the tip pool." Alex clicked it open again, though he'd already read it 3 times. The message was brief, just 1 line and 3 attachments. "They're stealing from us." The first photo showed a schedule board with handwritten changes. Sarah Mitchell's name crossed out, shifted from Friday night to Monday lunch. Emma Williams moved from Saturday dinner to Tuesday breakfast. Both shifts slashed by someone with manager-level access. The second photo, a screenshot of bank deposits. Small amounts, always under $1,000. $835 on October 31st, $890 on November 3rd, $1,235 on November 7th. Odd numbers that didn't match any recognizable pattern. The third photo made his jaw tighten. A receipt from the Harborside Tavern, his flagship location. Credit card tip line, $45. Handwritten below it in different ink. Pool total, $12. Alex pulled up his revenue reports and cross-referenced them with the dates in the email. The Harborside was performing well. Revenue up 12% over last quarter. Customer reviews averaged 4.7 stars. On paper, everything looked strong, but something else caught his attention. He opened the HR folder and scanned the termination records. In the past 6 months, 15 employees had quit from that location. 15. The turnover rate had jumped 280%. He clicked through exit interview notes. Most cited scheduling conflicts or personal reasons, but 3 mentioned management issues before the interviewer had cut them off, noting they declined to elaborate. Alex sat back in his chair. His father had opened the original Harborside 30 years ago, a neighborhood tavern where everyone knew your name. When his father died 2 years ago, Alex had thrown himself into expansion, opening 4 more locations, 5 restaurants now, 80 employees total. He delegated day-to-day operations to proven managers, focusing on growth strategy and investor relations. Had he gotten too distant? His phone buzzed. Text from his business partner. "Quarterly board meeting moved to Friday. Need your projections." Alex set the phone down without responding. The projections could wait. He pulled up the schedule for the Harborside and found the current floor manager, Derek Torres. 2.5 years with the company, MBA from a decent school, strong interview, confident leadership style. Alex had personally approved his hiring and his subsequent promotion to floor manager 18 months ago. Derek's performance reviews were excellent.
Revenue was up on his watch. Labor costs were down. Customer complaints had actually decreased. But employees were leaving, and someone, maybe one of them, had sent Alex evidence of something wrong. He opened a new browser window and logged into the POS system, pulling tip data for the past 8 weeks. Credit card tips were tracked automatically. Servers received them in their paychecks. But cash tips were supposed to go directly to servers at the end of each shift. The system had no way to track those unless someone was taking them before they reached the servers. Alex thought of his father's office wall, where a framed quote still hung. "Your people are your business. Protect them like it." He'd failed at that. Let the business grow while losing sight of the humans running it. His father would be ashamed. Alex closed his laptop and stared at the photo on his desk, the original Harborside on opening day 1995. His father, in a worn work jacket, standing in front of the bar with a proud smile. That jacket was still in Alex's closet at home. His father had worn it for 20 years, building the business brick by brick. Alex picked up his phone and opened a new note, typed 3 words: "Go undercover, Thursday." He needed to see the truth himself, not from reports or exit interviews. He needed to sit at that bar, watch the staff, see how his manager treated people when the owner wasn't watching. And if someone was stealing from his people, from his father's legacy, he would make it right. Thursday night at the Harborside started like any other. The after-work crowd filtered in around 6 o'clock. Bankers in Brooks Brothers suits, lawyers with leather briefcases, young professionals hunting happy-hour deals. By 7, every table was full and the bar counter had a waiting list. Sarah Mitchell moved through the chaos with practiced efficiency. Table 8 needed another round. Table 12 wanted to order appetizers. The foretop by the window was ready for entree. She juggled it all. 6 tables, 12 customers. Orders flowing to the kitchen in perfect sequence. "Sarah," Derek Torres called from behind the bar. "Table 9 is asking for you specifically. They're regulars, aren't it?" Sarah grabbed menus and headed to Table 9, where the Thompson couple sat. They came in every Thursday, always ordered the salmon special, always left 20%. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, good to see you again." "Wouldn't miss Thursday with our favorite server," Mrs. Thompson said warmly. Sarah took their order, salmon for both, as expected, and returned to the POS station to ring it in. Derek stood beside the computer, arms crossed, watching the floor. "Busy night," Sarah said, inputting the order. "Could be busier. Table 6 is camping. They finished eating 30 minutes ago." Sarah glanced at Table 6, an elderly couple sharing a dessert, talking quietly. "They're enjoying themselves." "They're taking up real estate. I need that table turned for the next seating." "I'll check on them in a few minutes." Derek's jaw tightened. "Check on them now. We're not a retirement home." Sarah kept her expression neutral. Of course. She walked to Table 6 with the check, smiling. "No rush at all, but whenever you're ready." The elderly man looked up, startled. "Oh, we're taking too long, aren't we? I'm sorry." "Not at all," Sarah said quickly. "Take your time. I just wanted to have this ready when you need it." "We'll get out of your way," the woman said, fumbling for her purse. "Really, there's no rush." But they were already standing, leaving cash on the table.
They hurried out without finishing their dessert. Sarah returned to the POS station and ran their payment. The tip was exactly 10%, less than they usually left. She pocketed the cash and added it to the growing pile in her apron. By 11, the rush had ended. Only a few stragglers remained, nursing final drinks. Derek gathered the floor staff in the back office. Sarah, Emma Williams, Jason Davis, and Rebecca Moore, the bartender. "Good night, everyone," Derek said, pulling out the tip jar from under the bar. "Let's settle up." This was the ritual. Everyone emptied their cash tips into the jar. Derek counted the total, divided it by some formula only he understood, and distributed envelopes with each person's share. Sarah pulled $280 from her apron. The Thompson couple, Table 8, Table 12, the foretop, and 3 smaller tables. She'd kept rough track throughout the night. It had been a good shift. Emma contributed $195. Jason added $240. Rebecca threw in $120 from the bar. Derek counted everything, his back to the group so no one could see his hands. "Slow night," he announced. "Only $835 total." Sarah's mental math didn't agree. She'd seen the room, every table full for 4 hours, but she said nothing. Derek distributed envelopes. Sarah opened hers, $63. Her expression didn't change. No surprise registered on her face, just tired recognition. Emma opened hers and frowned. "This seems low for how busy we were." Views doesn't equal tips, Derek said smoothly. Lots of bad tippers tonight. You all did great work, but that's what came in. Jason shrugged and pocketed his envelope. Rebecca didn't even open hers. But Sarah watched Emma's face. Confusion, doubt, acceptance. The young server was learning. Don't question Derek. Just take what he gives you. After the others left, Sarah stood alone at her locker. She opened the thin envelope again. $63. She'd worked a 6-hour shift, served 12 tables, given excellent service, and she was walking away with $63. She reached behind her extra uniform and pulled out a worn manila envelope, the label on front, in her careful handwriting, Liam's college fund. She opened it. Inside were 47 scraps of paper, napkins, receipts, torn order tickets. Each one documented a night like this. Sarah took out a blank receipt and wrote, Thursday, November 7th. Estimated $280 my tables. Derek gave me $63. She folded the paper and added it to the stack. 48 nights now. 48 lies. She slid the envelope back into its hiding place, grabbed her coat, and left through the back door. Her car was old, the heating broken, but it started on the 3rd try. She sat there for a moment in the cold, staring at the restaurant's back door. Then she drove home to her son. Friday morning, Alex stood in his bedroom closet, staring at a jacket he hadn't worn in years. The Carhartt work coat hung in the back corner behind the suits and dress shirts. It was 20 years old, faded brown with paint stains on the sleeves. His father's jacket, the one he'd worn building the original Harborside. Alex had kept it after his father died, unable to throw it away. Now he pulled it off the hanger and tried it on. It fit, barely. The zipper stuck halfway up. He looked at himself in the mirror. The jacket transformed him. Gone was the tech entrepreneur, the restaurant owner with a corner office. In this jacket, with worn jeans and old work boots, he looked like someone who'd spent the day on a construction site. Perfect.
Alex had made his decision overnight. He couldn't audit Derek openly. If something criminal was happening, a public investigation would give him time to destroy evidence. He couldn't send HR. Derek would charm them, bury the problems under polite explanations. He needed to see it himself, unfiltered, raw. His phone rang. His business partner again. Alex, where are the projections? The board meeting's in 6 hours. Send them my apologies. Something came up. What could possibly? Tell them I'll join remotely Monday. I have something I need to handle this weekend. He hung up before the argument could continue. Alex spent the rest of Friday planning. He studied the schedule. The Harborside operated Tuesday through Sunday, closed Mondays. Derek worked Thursday through Sunday, the busiest shifts. Tonight would be perfect. Friday night, peak hours, maximum staff, maximum customers. He drove to a bank across town and withdrew $15 in cash. Left his credit cards at home. Left his watch. The Rolex would give him away instantly. Left his wedding ring. He needed to become invisible. At 6 o'clock, Alex put on the work jacket, faded jeans, and his oldest boots, the Timberlands he used for yard work, soles separating at the toe. He looked in the mirror one more time. The transformation was complete. His father's voice echoed in his memory. You learn who people are when they think you're nobody. Alex grabbed his keys and headed out. He parked 2 blocks from the Harborside, not in the owner's reserved spot. He walked the distance, feeling the cold November air through the thin jacket. At the restaurant entrance, he paused. Through the window, he could see the usual Friday chaos. Packed tables, servers moving quickly, bar full of customers. His restaurant, his staff, his father's legacy, and somewhere in there maybe someone stealing from the people who made it run. Alex took a breath and pushed through the door. The hostess, Maria Gonzalez, he remembered from the org chart, greeted him with a professional smile that flickered slightly when she took in his appearance. Hi there. Just you tonight? Yeah, just me. Great. Let me find you a spot. She scanned the room and Alex saw her gaze skip past the best tables near the window, landing on a seat at the bar counter. "We have space at the bar, if that works." "Perfect." She led him through the restaurant. Alex kept his head down, avoiding eye contact. He passed Derek, Torres, standing near the kitchen entrance, clipboard in hand. Derek's eyes passed over him without recognition. Just another customer. Alex sat at the bar counter. Rebecca Moore, the bartender, approached. "What can I get started for you?" "I'll wait for the waitress, thanks." Rebecca nodded and moved on. Alex scanned the room. There, Sarah Mitchell, carrying a tray of drinks to a nearby table. She moved with quiet confidence, smiling at customers, efficient and warm. She'd be his test, and Derek's. Time to see who they really were. Sarah finished delivering drinks to table 14 and glanced at the bar. A new customer had sat down. Worn jacket, work boots, tired eyes. He looked like he just finished a long shift somewhere. She grabbed her notepad and approached. "Hi there." Sarah smiled genuinely. "What can I get started for you?" The man looked up at her, then quickly down at the menu, self-conscious. "Hey, He cleared his throat. "What's the cheapest thing you have?" Sarah's pen hovered over her notepad. No judgment entered her voice. "We have appetizers starting at $7. The fries are popular, or we have mozzarella sticks." "Just water is fine."
He checked his phone like he was looking at a bank balance, embarrassed. "And the fries, small order, that's all." Silence fell between them. Sarah didn't write anything yet. She looked at him, really looked. Not with pity, with recognition. She'd seen that expression before on her own face in the mirror during the hard years after leaving her ex-husband. "Long day?" she asked quietly. The question surprised him. An honest answer came out. "Yeah, long week, actually." Sarah nodded slowly. She set down her pen and leaned slightly against the bar. Her body language said, "I'm not rushing you." "Can I be honest with you?" she asked. "Okay." "Kitchen made extra burgers tonight. We have a new line cook. Great guy, but still learning portions. Made 4 burgers too many." She smiled, small, genuine. "My manager hates food waste. It's one of the few things he's actually right about." He was guarded now. "Okay." "One of those burgers is going in the trash in about 10 minutes if someone doesn't eat it. Would you be willing to help us out?" "I can't. I don't have money." "For no charge." Her voice was gentle but firm. "It's already made, already paid for. It's either going to you or going to the trash." A pause. "And between you and me, you look like you've been working hard. A person who's been working hard deserves more than just fries." Alex opened his mouth to respond. No words came out. He stared at her, trying to form a sentence. His throat tightened. He couldn't speak. The camera would have held on his face here. 5 full seconds. Mouth slightly open, eyes starting to glisten though he blinked it back, throat working, trying to force words that wouldn't come. Sarah waited, patient, kind eyes, no pressure. Finally, he managed to whisper. His voice cracked. "Why would you do that?" "Because everyone who walks through that door deserves to be treated like they matter." She picked up her pen. "It's that simple." "So, can I bring you that burger?" "It's really good, I promise. House-made sauce, bacon, aged cheddar. Comes with sweet potato fries." He still couldn't speak properly. Just a small nod. Sarah's smile warmed. "Perfect. I'll get that right out. And don't worry, if my manager gives you any trouble about it, you tell him Sarah said it was kitchen waste and he can talk to me." She wrote on her pad, tore off the ticket, and turned toward the kitchen. "Wait!" he called after her. She turned back. "What's your name again?" "Sarah?" "Sarah Mitchell." "Thank you, Sarah." His voice was genuine, thick with emotion he was barely controlling. "Really, thank you." You're welcome. She smiled once more. Be right back. She walked away, disappearing into the kitchen chaos. Alex sat there frozen. He couldn't move, couldn't process what had just happened. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for his water glass. He set it down without drinking. Someone had just shown him more kindness in 60 seconds than most people showed in a lifetime. And she'd done it while being robbed blind by his employee. Derek Torres had been watching from his position near the kitchen pass. He'd noticed the man in the worn jacket when he entered. Exactly the kind of customer Derek preferred to see seated quickly and moved out faster. Low value, probably a bad tipper, and now Sarah was spending too much time talking to him. Derek walked to the POS station where Sarah was inputting the order. He leaned close, voice low but harsh. "What did you just do?" Sarah kept typing.
Didn't look at him. Kitchen waste. Extra burger from the new prep. I know what you did. That's a $24 burger. It was going to be thrown out. We don't give charity to people who can't pay. Derek's voice had an edge now. This isn't a soup kitchen. Sarah finally looked at him. Her voice was calm, steady. It's food waste. Company policy says we can comp reasonable amounts to avoid. I don't care what policy says. You know the rules about unauthorized comps. He crossed his arms. That's coming out of your tips tonight. $24. A flicker of something crossed Sarah's face. Pain maybe, or resignation, but she recovered quickly. Fine. Fine. That's it? Yes, that's it. She submitted the order on the screen. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have customers waiting, and you're cut at 9 instead of 11. I don't need servers who waste time on people who don't tip. Sarah's jaw tightened, but she nodded once and walked toward the kitchen. Derek called after her, just loud enough that she'd hear. Bleeding heart's gonna bleed you dry, Mitchell. She kept walking without responding. At the bar, Alex had heard every word. His position gave him a direct line to the POS station, and Derek's harsh whisper had carried just far enough. The emotion that had left him speechless moments ago transformed into something else, something harder. She wasn't just being kind, she was paying for his meal out of tips she desperately needed. And she was being punished for it, losing $24 plus 2 hours of work. And she'd said, fine, without hesitation. Alex's hand, resting on the bar, tightened into a fist. He forced himself to relax it, to keep his expression neutral. But inside, something had shifted. This wasn't just about investigating tip theft anymore. This was about a woman who'd chosen kindness over safety, who'd looked at a stranger and decided he deserved dignity, even when it cost her. And the man who was supposed to be managing his restaurant, protecting his staff, was punishing her for it. Alex had come here to find evidence, but he'd found something more important. He'd found out exactly who Sarah Mitchell was, and exactly who Derek Torres was. 8 minutes later, Sarah returned with a tray. She set it down in front of Alex, and he stared at what she'd brought. The Harborside Burger Deluxe sat perfectly plated. Bacon, aged cheddar, house sauce, brioche bun, sweet potato fries, not regular, arranged with care. A side house salad with vinaigrette on the side, and tucked beside the plate, a small ramekin of chocolate mousse. The dessert wasn't... Alex started. I know, Sarah smiled, but you said it's been a long week. Chocolate helps, trust me. She refilled his water without being asked, adding a lemon wedge this time. Enjoy. Let me know if you need anything else. Sarah? He said her name, and she paused. I heard what he said about your tips, about cutting your hours. You didn't have to do this. She met his eyes. Something in her expression softened. Yes, I did. A pause. My dad raised me to believe that how you treat people when nobody's watching is who you really are. She glanced toward Derek across the room. Even if someone is watching, it doesn't change what's right. But you matter. She said it, simply, directly.
Everyone who sits at this bar matters. Don't let anyone tell you different, okay? Before he could respond, she walked away to help another table. Alex sat there staring at the food. The lump in his throat made it hard to swallow.
He picked up his fork with a trembling hand and took a bite. The burger was incredible, but that wasn't why emotion threatened to overwhelm him. For the next 2 hours, Alex watched Sarah work. He forced himself to eat slowly, making the meal last, observing everything. At 7:30, an elderly couple entered. The hostess started to seat them near the bathroom. Sarah intercepted smoothly. "Actually, Maria, table 8 just opened up. They probably preferred the window view." The couple got the best seat in the house. At 8:15, a man in an expensive suit snapped his fingers at Sarah for more water. She didn't flinch, refilled his glass with the same warm smile she'd given Alex. "Anything else I can get for you, sir?" At 8:50, Derek cut her as promised. Sarah clocked out, but didn't leave immediately. She stopped by each of her tables, transferring them to Emma with detailed notes. "Table 6 has a dairy allergy. Table 12's anniversary, they might want dessert. Table 8 likes extra lemon in their water." At 9:15, the shift ended. Derek called the servers to the back office for tip pool. Alex stood from the bar, left a $10 bill, 2/3 of the cash he'd brought, and walked slowly toward the exit. But he positioned himself near the hallway where he could partially see into the back office through the window in the door. The ritual began. Everyone contributed cash to the jar. Derek counted with his back to them, distributed envelopes. Sarah opened hers. $63. Her face showed no surprise, just tired acceptance. She went to her locker, and Alex watched through the partially opened door. She pulled something out. A worn manila envelope, wrote something on a scrap of paper, hid the envelope again behind her uniform. Alex left through the front door, walked to his car 2 blocks away, and sat in the cold darkness. He'd seen everything he needed to see. Saturday morning, Alex arrived at his office at 7 a.m. He'd barely slept, his mind replaying Sarah's words. "Everyone who sits at this bar matters." He called his IT director at home. "I need security footage from the Harborside back office camera last 8 weeks. There was a pause. That's a lot of footage of Derek. Is everything okay?" "Pull it. Don't tell anyone. I need it by noon." "Yes, sir." At noon, Alex sat in his locked office with his laptop, reviewing footage on a split screen. He'd pulled specific dates from the email's bank deposit screenshot. October 31st, November 3rd, November 7th. He found October 31st. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. Derek entered the frame alone in the back office after the shift ended. He looked around, checking that the door was closed. Then he pulled the tip jar from under the counter. He counted the cash with his back to the camera, but his hands were visible. Bills moved from the jar to the desk. His fingers worked quickly, separating, counting, stacking. Then he took a portion and slipped it into his jacket pocket. He recounted what was left, divided it into 4 smaller piles, and put those into envelopes. The entire process took 3 minutes. Derek checked the door once more, then left. Alex felt sick. He fast-forwarded to November 3rd. Same pattern. Derek alone, counting, pocketing cash. This time Alex could see more clearly. He took roughly 1/3 of the total before distributing the rest. November 7th, Thursday night, the night Alex had been there. Same routine, Derek's hand sliding bills into his jacket with the casual efficiency of someone who'd done this many times before.
Alex compiled the footage. He found 43 separate instances over 8 weeks. Every shift, Derek managed the same pattern: count, pocket, distribute. He calculated rough estimates based on visible bill denominations. Over 8 weeks, Derek had likely stolen $12,800 from the tip pool, maybe more. Alex called his lawyer on Saturday afternoon. They met at a coffee shop across town, far from anywhere they might be recognized. "This is felony wage theft," his lawyer said after reviewing the footage. "The Department of Labor will prosecute if you file a complaint, but I'd recommend handling it internally first. Fire him, recover what you can, then decide if you want to press charges. I want him prosecuted. Then we'll need to document everything. Security footage is strong, but we need more. Financial records, testimony from affected employees, evidence of the amounts taken. Sunday morning, Alex dove into the financial records. He pulled POS data for every shift Derek had managed over the past 18 months and cross-referenced it with payroll records. The POS tracked credit card tips automatically. Those went directly to servers through payroll. But cash tips were supposed to be distributed at the end of each shift. The system had no record of those amounts, except Alex could estimate them. He looked at the credit card tip totals and applied industry averages. If credit card tips were $400 on a given night, cash tips were probably around $250. He built a spreadsheet. Dates, estimated tips, what should have been distributed. Then he looked at the bank deposits Derek had made. The email had provided those screenshots. November 7th, the POS showed $835 in credit card tips. Estimated cash, $400. Total, $1,235. Derek had told the staff only $835 total. He lied about the credit card tips and pocketed all the cash. And on November 8th, Derek had deposited exactly $1,235 into his personal bank account. Alex checked other dates. October 31st, discrepancy of $1,235, deposit of $1,235. November 3rd, discrepancy of $890, deposit of $890. The amounts matched exactly. Smoking gun. Alex spent Sunday evening interviewing former employees by phone. He'd gotten their contact information from HR records. 3 agreed to talk. Emma Martinez had quit 3 months ago. Derek took 40% of tips, called it a management fee. When I asked if that was legal, my hours got cut to almost nothing. I couldn't afford to stay. 2 others confirmed the same pattern. By Sunday night, Alex had built an ironclad case. 43 instances of theft on security footage. Asterisk, $31,200, stolen from 4 current employees over 18 months. Asterisk, bank deposits matching stolen amounts exactly. Asterisk, testimony from 3 former employees. Asterisk, POS data proving the lies he created. He created a folder labeled the Harborside Internal Investigation and compiled everything. Monday morning, he sent a calendar invite. Mandatory staff meeting. Monday 10 a.m., all floor staff required. Owner will address concerns. Derek received the invite and smirked at his screen. Finally, the owner's coming in. Probably wanted to congratulate them on the revenue increase. Monday morning at 10, 8 people gathered in the Harbor's conference room. Sarah Mitchell, Emma Williams, Jason Davis, Rebecca Moore, Maria Gonzalez, Tommy Anderson from the kitchen, and Derek Torres. The room buzzed with nervous energy. Derek sat at the head of the table, confident. Must be good news if the owner's finally coming in. Sarah sat near the back, quiet. She'd been summoned on her day off and wasn't sure why. Her stomach twisted with anxiety. The door opened. Alexander Brooks walked in. Tailored suit, perfect haircut, owner mode.
Closed the door behind him and stood at the front of the room. Silence fell. Sarah's face went white. She stared at him, recognition hitting like a physical blow. Oh my God. Derek frowned, confused. Who are you? Alex met his eyes. I'm Alexander Brooks. I own this restaurant. The tension in the room became electric. Sarah couldn't breathe. The man from Friday night. The worn jacket, the cheap order. It was the owner. Thursday night, Alex continued, voice steady, I sat at that bar counter wearing an $8 jacket and ordered water and fries. Sarah's hand came up to cover her mouth. Sarah? Alex turned to her, his voice gentler. You asked me if I'd had a long day. I said yes. You told me the kitchen had made extra burgers and asked if I'd help you out by eating one that would otherwise go to waste. I'm so sorry, Sarah whispered. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. Alex's voice was firm but kind. Let me finish. He walked closer to her. You offered me a $24 burger, upgraded sides, and chocolate mousse. No charge. You told me everyone deserves more than fries. The room was silent except for Sarah's shallow breathing. Alex turned to Derek, and his voice hardened. Your manager overheard. Told you that meal was coming out of your tips. $24. You said fine. He cut your hours from 11 to 9 as punishment. You said fine again. Then you served that meal anyway and told me I mattered. Sarah was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Derek. Alex's attention focused fully on the floor manager. You told me Thursday was a slow night. Said total tips were $835. Is that correct? Derek shifted in his chair. Sweat appeared on his forehead. Yes, it was slow. My POSOS system shows $835 in credit card tips and an estimated $400 in cash, based on typical ratios. Over $1,235 total. Can you explain the discrepancy? Silence. Alex pulled out his laptop and turned it to face the room. The security footage began playing on the screen. Derek's face appeared alone in the back office late at night, counting the tip jar, pocketing cash. Gasps echoed around the room. 43 times, Alex said quietly, over 8 weeks. I had my IT director compile every instance. The footage continued, Derek checking the door, sliding bills into his jacket, counting what remained. You stole an estimated $12,800 in 8 weeks alone, Alex said. And when I audited the last 18 months, the total rises to $31,200 from 4 employees. Emma Williams had tears running down her face. Jason Davis looked furious. Rebecca Moore sat frozen in shock. Sarah Mitchell. Alex pulled up a spreadsheet. $11,200 stolen from you over 18 months. Sarah made a small sound, almost a sob. Jason Davis, $8,100. Emma Williams, $6,800. Rebecca Moore, $5,100. Those are just estimates, Derek started. No, they're calculations based on POSOS data cross-referenced with your bank deposits. Alex pulled out another document. November 7th, you deposited $1,235, exact match. October 31st, $1,235, exact match. November 3rd, $890, also exact. Derek's confident posture collapsed. Sarah? Alex said softly, do you have anything you'd like to share with everyone? All eyes turned to her. She sat frozen for a moment, then slowly stood. Her legs were shaky. She walked to her locker in the hallway, visible through the glass wall of the conference room. Everyone watched. She reached behind her uniform and pulled out a worn manila envelope.
She returned to the conference room and placed it on the table, the label faced up. Liam's college fund. She opened it. Papers spilled across the table. 48 pieces of napkins, receipts, order tickets. I've been documenting everything. Her voice shook but held steady. Every shift for 9 weeks. Every dollar I counted from my tables versus every dollar Derek gave me. She picked up one piece of paper. Thursday, November 7th. My tables estimated $280. Derek gave me $63. She picked up another. October 30th. Estimated $245. Received $71. Another. October 23rd. Estimated $310. Received $89. She looked at Derek, and for the first time, there was something other than fear in her eyes. I didn't know if anyone would believe me, but I knew someone had to care eventually, so I wrote it all down. Alex picked up several papers reading, Total documented discrepancy, $8,400 over 9 weeks. This is, Derek stood. You can't prove. I have security footage, POS data, bank records, testimony from 3 former employees who quit because of you, and now Sarah's documentation, which matches our data perfectly. Alex's voice was ice. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security is waiting outside to escort you from the building. Derek's face went from white to red. You can't do this. If you contest this termination, set foot on this property again, or attempt to contact any current or former employees, I will file criminal charges for felony wage theft.
The Department of Labor is already reviewing this case. 2 security guards entered the room. "Get him out of my restaurant," Alex said. Derek looked around the room, at Sarah, at Emma, at Jason, at Rebecca. No one met his eyes. The guards took his arms and led him out. The door closed behind them. Dead silence. Alex remained standing at the front of the room. The staff sat in stunned silence, processing what had just happened. "What happened here," Alex began, voice quiet but firm, "is my failure." Sarah looked up, surprised. "I got too distant, too focused on expansion, on revenue numbers, on board meetings. I lost sight of what my father built this place on, taking care of people." He paused. "That ends today, not with words, with action." He pulled out a folder and opened it on the table. "First change, effective immediately. No more forced tip pooling." The staff exchanged glances. The company policy has always been that tips are individual unless servers choose to voluntarily pool them. Derek violated that policy. "From now on, tips are yours, period. If you want to pool with coworkers, that's your choice, but it's voluntary and it's transparent." Sarah wiped her eyes, trying to follow his words. "Second, new POS system upgrade. Starting next week, the system will auto-track tips per server, both credit card and cash. You'll be able to log into a portal and see your exact tip totals for every shift. No more black box. Complete transparency. Third, weekly tip reconciliation reports. Every Sunday night, the system generates a report showing total tips collected and total tips distributed. Any discrepancy over $10 gets flagged for immediate investigation, and those reports are posted in the break room for all staff to see." Alex walked around the table, making eye contact with each person. "Fourth, anonymous tip line. There's a poster being installed in the break room today with a QR code and phone number. Any concern, any issue with management, scheduling, pay, treatment, you can report it anonymously. Those reports come directly to me, not to your manager, to me." Rebecca spoke up, voice small. "What if management retaliates for reporting? Then they get fired."
Zero tolerance policy. It's in writing in your employee handbook, effective today. Alex pulled out printed copies and handed them around. Retaliation for reporting legitimate concerns is grounds for immediate termination with cause. The staff stared at the documents. Fifth, quarterly owner walkthroughs, unannounced. I'll be here talking to everyone. Dishwashers, bussers, line cooks, servers, bartenders, not just managers. I want to hear from the people doing the work. Sixth, server representative. Starting this month, you'll elect one person from the floor staff to attend monthly management meetings. They'll have a voice in scheduling, policy changes, and any issues affecting servers. Real representation, not token. Emma raised her hand tentatively. What about the money Derek took? Can we get it back? Alex opened his briefcase and pulled out several envelopes. I've audited the last 18 months. Every stolen dollar gets repaid with 18% interest for the time you've been without it. He started calling names. Emma Williams, $6,800 stolen, with interest $8,024. He handed her an envelope. Emma opened it and stared at the check, tears streaming down her face. Jason Davis, $8,100 stolen, with interest $9,558. Jason took the check with shaking hands. Rebecca Moore, $5,100 stolen, with interest $6,018. Rebecca covered her mouth, sobbing. Sarah Mitchell. Sarah stood, barely able to keep her legs steady. $11,200 stolen, with interest $13,216. He handed her the envelope. Sarah opened it, stared at the check. Her knees nearly gave out. Emma and Rebecca moved to either side of her, holding her up. I can't, Sarah whispered. It's yours. It was always yours. I'm just returning what was stolen. But that's not all, Alex said. Sarah looked up at him through tears. I'm offering you the position of assistant general manager, immediate start. The room went silent again. Sarah shook her head. I can't. I'm just a server. I don't... No, you're not just anything. Alex's voice was firm. Thursday night, you documented injustice for 48 days. You treated customers with dignity when your manager punished you for it. You protected younger staff members. You never gave up, never stopped doing the right thing. That's not service. That's leadership. I don't know how to... You know how to treat people with respect, how to protect the team, how to choose principle over convenience. That's all leadership is. He pulled out another document. Assistant General Manager, 35% salary increase over your current pay, full benefits package. He paused, meeting her eyes, including full health care with dependent coverage. Sarah's breathing stopped. Your son's medical needs? Insulin, test strips, pump supplies, doctor visits, specialists, all covered. Zero copay for chronic disease management. Sarah collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Full body, shaking sobs of relief. The weight she'd been carrying for years, the constant terror of affording Liam's insulin, the calculations of every dollar, the fear of one unexpected medical bill destroying them. It lifted, all at once. Emma wrapped her arms around Sarah. Rebecca joined them. Even Jason's eyes were wet. Alex gave them a moment, then continued quietly. And there's a $3,000 annual education stipend for professional development. Or, he glanced at the worn envelope still on the table, for Liam's college fund, a real one. Sarah couldn't speak, could only cry. Will you help me make sure this place stays what it's supposed to be? Alex extended his hand. Sarah looked at his hand through tears, looked at her coworkers who were nodding, encouraging her, looked at the check in her shaking fingers, looked at the envelope labeled Liam's college fund that had been her weapon and her burden. She stood, still trembling, and took Alex's hand.
Yes! The room erupted in applause. Tommy whistled from the back. Emma was crying and clapping simultaneously. Alex shook Sarah's hand firmly. Welcome to management. We have a lot of work to do. Sarah nodded, unable to form words. She looked around at her team, her family really. They were smiling at her, proud of her. For the first time in years, Sarah Mitchell felt safe. 3 months later, the harbor side had transformed. Sarah stood near the kitchen pass wearing her new manager shirt, navy blue, with Assistant GM embroidered on the pocket. 2 new servers, both college students, stood beside her for training. Everyone who walks through that door matters, Sarah explained, echoing words that had become her teaching mantra. Rich, poor, dressed up, dressed down, they all get the same respect. That's not optional, that's who we are. The younger server, Katie, raised her hand. But what if they're rude to us? You still treat them with dignity. That's your choice, not theirs. Sarah smiled. My dad used to say, the measure of a person is how they treat people who can't do anything for them. Be the person you're proud to be, regardless of how others act. Got it, Katie said, taking notes. Now, let's talk about the POS system and how tip tracking works. Across the restaurant, Alex sat at a corner booth reviewing the weekly tip reconciliation report with Emma Williams and Jason Davis. The numbers spread across the table were transparent. Every dollar tracked, every distribution verified. Last week, you made $380, Emma, Alex said, pointing to the report. Does that match your portal? Emma checked her phone, opening the staff app. Yep, $380 exactly. Good. Any discrepancies, you tell Sarah or me immediately, even small ones. We investigate everything. Alex looked at Jason. You good? Yeah, made $420. System's working great. Jason hesitated. Can I ask something? Always. That anonymous tip line, does anyone actually read those? I personally read every single one, and Sarah reviews them with me weekly. Alex pulled out his phone and showed them the dashboard. Last month, we got 23 submissions. Most were positive feedback. A few concerns about kitchen temperature during lunch rush. We fixed the AC unit. One about a supplier delivery blocking the staff entrance. We changed the delivery time. And nobody got in trouble for reporting those? Emma asked. Not a single person. That's the whole point. If something's wrong, we want to know before it becomes a bigger problem. At the bar, Rebecca Moore was training the new bartender. The system auto-calculates your tips. Now at the end of your shift, you log in, verify the amount, and it goes directly to your paycheck. No jar, no manager handling it, just you and the system. Near the back booth, 7-year-old Liam Mitchell sat doing homework, his backpack spread across the table. His insulin pump was visible on his arm, the device that kept him healthy, now fully covered by his mother's insurance. Tommy Anderson emerged from the kitchen with a plate of fries. "Homework fuel," he said, setting it down. "Thanks, Chef Tommy." Liam grinned. "Mom says you make the best fries in Boston." "Your mom's a smart woman. How's the math coming?" "It's hard, but Mom says hard things are worth doing." "She's right about that, too." Tommy ruffled Liam's hair and headed back to the kitchen, passing Sarah on the way. She watched her son for a moment, healthy, safe, doing normal kid things, and felt gratitude so profound it ached. At 7 p.m., a man in worn work clothes entered the restaurant.
The new hostess, Angela, started to lead him toward a less desirable table. Sarah intercepted smoothly. "Actually, table 8 just opened. It has a much better view." The man looked surprised. "Thank you, that's really kind." "Everyone gets our best. Enjoy your meal." As Sarah walked past the POS station, Emma caught her eye and smiled. They both remembered this was the standard now, not the exception, the standard. Later that evening, Alex arrived for one of his unannounced quarterly walkthroughs, but instead of going to the office, he went straight to the kitchen. "How's everyone doing tonight?" He shook hands with the dishwasher, checking in. "Diego, right? How are we treating you?" "Good, Mr. Brooks, really good. Sarah checks on us every shift, asks if we need anything." Alex found Sarah at the end of her shift. "The staff says you're checking on everyone?" "Just doing my job." "That's not in your job description." Sarah smiled. "My dad used to say taking care of people isn't a job description. It's a job qualification." Alex laughed. "I wish I could have met him." "You did," Sarah said quietly. "Every time you treat someone with dignity, you're meeting him. That's the legacy he left," and she gestured around the restaurant, at the staff working together, at Liam doing homework safely, at the poster on the wall with the anonymous tip line. That's the legacy you're building. Alex looked around his restaurant, his father's restaurant, really, and now Sarah's too. It wasn't perfect. There were still problems to solve, complaints to address, systems to improve, but it was moving in the right direction, and that was enough. 6 months after that Thursday night, Sarah Mitchell stood at the kitchen pass during lunch service, confident and calm. The restaurant hummed with its usual energy, customers laughing, servers moving efficiently, kitchen calling out orders, everything in its right place. Derek Torres had pled guilty to wage theft and fraud. The Department of Labor had prosecuted, and he'd received probation plus full restitution. He wouldn't manage people again. But Derek was just one person. The real problem was bigger. Alex had learned that 40 million Americans experience wage theft every year. Stolen tips, edited time cards, unpaid overtime, $15 billion stolen annually, more than all robberies combined. The most common crime most people never heard about because victims were afraid to speak up. That had to change.